Hey everybody, it's Kaylee. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a what sold video. I'll talk about all of my sales on the two platforms that I sell on, eBay and Poshmark. We'll go into a deep dive over the numbers, how much it cost me to sell those items, and then also do a deep dive into some of the particular items that I sold that I think that you should look for while you're at your local thrift store to flip online for a profit. Let's just dive right into these sales. All right, so like I said, we're going to dive right in. All of these sales numbers that you see here on this screen happen between December 26th through January 1st. In total, between eBay and Poshmark, I sold 103 items for a gross sales total of $3,821.25, making my average sale price $37.10. Estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost was $412 for everything that sold last week. My estimated net profits after fees, shipping costs, and cost of goods was $2,414.94. On eBay, I sold 72 items. On Poshmark, I sold just 31. Gross sales on eBay were just over $2,600 and then over $1,100 on Poshmark. Let's dive right into these sales. First sale that I really was happy with, I was actually really surprised about, were these pair of Lucky Brand jeans. I actually had a quantity of 2 of these. I found both of these at the same thrift store, same size, same wash, same style. And so whenever that happens, we always do one listing and change the quantity to 2. Was not expecting these to sell to the same person, but they did. I paid $4.99 each, and they each sold for $44.87 very quickly. I feel like maybe I could have priced them a little bit higher based on how quickly they sold. Next up is a style I talk about pretty often. It is a 3D knit sweater. That's where the texture is a little bit raised. This one was not super colorful, but I still pick up even the neutral colored ones because you can still usually get a pretty penny for it. I only paid $2 for this. That's another nice thing about these sweaters, is that thrift stores don't usually know about their value, so they price them very low. So regardless of brand, you definitely want to keep your eye out for 3D knit sweaters. This brand is Protege. They do make a lot of these 3D knit sweaters, and then if you find a Kuji 3D knit sweater, that's like the holy grail. Those go for hundreds. So this one I only paid $2 for. It sold for $36.92. Next up are these Rag & Bone shoes. Rag & Bone is a clothing, shoe, and accessory brand that retails for a ton and sometimes can hold resale value. I really like picking up leather goods in Rag & Bone. You can see that these shoes actually had significant wear, but even with that significant wear, they still sold for $36.93, which was my full asking price, and I originally paid $4.99 for these. Next up is a pair of Nike pants. One thing I wanted to point out is anytime you have Nike with a fleece lining, that's usually a good indicator of a quality item. Anything with fleece inside is usually pretty good. So these were a pair of sweatpants with the fleece on the inside. I originally picked these up for $4 at a thrift store. They sold on an offer to watchers for $26.98. Picked up this Calvin Klein women's packable down jacket. These do really well during this time of the year in pretty much all brands, so I always look for the super lightweight ones and always do a comp. This one was a really nice taupe color and also a longer length, which helps to add value. I paid $4.99 at a thrift store. It did sell very quickly for our full asking price of $39.98. These two are both Brooks Brothers suspenders. I talked about this before. I think they've all sold out but one, but I found a cluster of them at the bins, which is where you pay by the pound. Nobody else saw the value in them, but I noticed that they were Brooks Brothers and I picked almost all of them up. Even some of them that had a little bit of flaws sold really well, and Brooks Brothers suspenders in general just have a really great sell-through rate. What you want to look for are the leather ends, and that's usually a good indicator of a good brand of suspenders. So I picked both of these up at the bins. This one was plain maroon, the other one had striping. One of them sold for $22 and the other one sold for $24.99. This is an Express women's maxi dress, and I picked this one up because it was substantial. It was a long length maxi dress and it was new with tags. Can't beat that at the bins. Picked it up. It actually sold surprisingly quickly because Express isn't typically a brand that sells very quickly, but I think that it just had enough factors that people wanted to buy. So I priced this at $29.99. It sold on an offer for $26.99. Also a bins pickup are these women's Crocs. These are called the Karen clog sandals, and certain styles in Crocs can do really well. These are kind of a strappy, almost, I guess, Mary Jane style. Very lightweight to pick up at the bins. These sold for $22.22. This next one is by the brand Neon Buddha, which is a brand that I do like selling and typically moves quickly for me. It's a very artsy kind of login look, hippie-ish kind of brand, and it's pretty easy to spot. I paid $4.39 for this at a thrift store. It's sold for full asking price of $29.89. Next up is a men's brand that I just learned about. It's called VRST. And so if you see this label, I wouldn't say that it sells for a ton, but certain things in this brand do have a following and can sell quickly. So they're typically quick flips. I paid $4.99 at a thrift store. These sold for $25.75, which was a best offer. Next is this Garnet Hill women's robe. Garnet Hill is a pretty tried and true brand for me also, and I like picking up pretty much all of their pieces, especially when they are more substantial. So this was a leopard print robe. I paid $4.39 at a thrift store. Sleepwear is something people don't check on often enough in their thrift store, and they miss out on really good items. This one sold very quickly. I accepted an offer of $30. This next one is a pair of No Boundaries shoes. No Boundaries is definitely not a brand that I would recommend you pick up. However, when it comes to these chunky, vintage looking, Y2K is a great keyword, block heels, anything with kind of a platform block heel or just a platform heel that's flat does extremely well. And so regardless of brand, I like picking these up, and they sell for quite a bit. I mean, relative to what they were originally priced for. I paid $4.39 for these at a thrift store. They sold for full asking price of $49.88. These are a pair of Levi's. These are a style I had never heard of before. They were called the Student Fit, loose fit, and yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you heard of this style, because I certainly hadn't before. It seemed to be doing pretty well. This was a very odd size. It was a 27 by 30, but we still picked it up because we got them at the bins. They sold on an offer for $35.88. These next two are both by the brand Bryn Connolly. They are both midi or maxi dresses, and they are both plaid. I found a cluster of these at a thrift store, and I picked them all up because Bryn Connolly does have a following. Here is the tag. You just want to be careful about which pieces you're picking up. So I paid $4.39 for each of those. This one sold for $34.87, and then this one sold for $31.38. Next up is a brand I'm sure you guys know about. It is Lululemon. This one was a herringbone Asana jacket. I was able to figure out the style name by looking up this G1 at the bottom of the tag here on Google, along with the brand name, and it popped up pretty quickly. This Asana jacket is pretty rare, but just in general, Lululemon outerwear does extremely well. So if you're hesitant on picking it up because you think the market is saturated, just try focusing on the more substantial pieces. I paid $4.39 for this. It sold on our full asking price for $49.87. This was another good pickup. This is by the brand Patricia Nash, which is well known for their handbags and their leather goods. This is a really nice, great condition Patricia Nash leather wallet. It did have a little spot on it, which we made sure to notate. You can see we marked it here in the condition. Decided to get it anyways because their leather pieces just do really well. Paid $4.99 for this wallet. It sold for full asking price, even with the mark, for $39.87. Next up is a men's brand that I do recommend you look for. It is John Varvatos. And if you find a t-shirt, especially if it's made out of linen or something like that, they can do really well. But this brand, John Varvatos, in general has a really good following. And so I am willing to pay full price for it. Paid full price for this t-shirt at a thrift store. We paid $4.39, and it sold for full asking price of $24.87. Here's another Garnet Hill piece. I found this one at the bins. This is a shirt dress, and I think I was going to say, I think it has a couple of materials in it that help to up the value a little bit, cotton and silk. And yeah, I just like the look of this, a little bit more of a substantial piece. So picked it up at the bins. It sold for full asking price of $24.91. And once again, this brand just has a following. Another menswear brand that you might want to look for, it is Rhone, R-H-O-N-E. And these are a pair of men's athletic shorts, and I would probably pick up anything in this brand in the men's department. So we picked these up at the bins. They sold on an offer for $26.92. Next up is this Prana women's pullover hoodie. Prana is still a very tried and true brand for me. I definitely can't get as much as I used to out of it, but it still flips extremely well. And so I'm even willing to pick it up with a little bit of pilling, which you'll see we noted right there. Paid $4.39 for it. It sold on an offer for $22.38. These next two sweaters are both ones that we picked up based on factor stacking, which means they had a lot of great things going for it, regardless of the brand, regardless of whether or not it was what you would consider a bolo. So I paid $4.39 for this one. I also paid $4.39 for this one. This first one is J. Crew, which is just a mall brand, but it was a 2X, so a plus size. Larger sizes always do well. Wool alpaca blend. And it was also just a modern style. You can see by the side slits and the stacked hem. So this one sold for $34.87, which I thought was really good for a J. Crew sweater. And then I also sold this loft sweater, which I picked up for the Fair Isle details here at the top of the shoulder. It was also a size extra large and made of wool. So same thing as that J. Crew. There was multiple factors stacking on top of it, which do well during this time of the year. This one ended up selling for full asking price of $24.87. Next up is this Juicy Couture women's pants. I found these at the bins, and pretty much any Juicy Couture pants I pick up that have the Juicy spell out on the back. Now, if you find the velour ones, those do a lot better, but even if you find the cotton ones, they can still do good. What I would recommend is that your cover photo is the back of the pants. That way people can see the spell out here. In fact, looking back, I probably would have done my cover photo more close up like you're seeing here on the screen. Once again, we picked these up at the bins. They sold for full asking price of $29.87. Here is another 3D knit sweater. This one is by Cotton Traders. This one definitely has a lot more going for it because of the bright multicolor instead of being a neutral color like that Protege sweater. So therefore I priced this up a little bit higher and it sold pretty quickly for a full asking price of $69.87. I originally paid $4.99. Here is another fleece lined hoodie. You can see the fleece material on the inside. This is just a women's crop hoodie. I did look up the style name of this because it did seem more modern, and it ended up being called the Essentials White Fleece Hoodie. I paid $4.39. It sold on an offer for $22.38. Next, we're going to jump on over to Poshmark. I sold this Hobo International bag. I don't think a lot of people know about this brand. After I looked it up, I started finding it more and more, but they make really quality leather pieces that are really plain. The only branding that you'll find is on the inside, and this tag looks kind of unassuming, but it's vintage. It does really good. So this one was a backpack. I paid $3.99, $4 at a thrift store. It sold for $45. I got these Everlane jeans for $4.99 at a thrift store. They sold for $40. I still do love picking up Everlane jeans. I try to stick to the higher sizes. This one was a pretty medium size and a size 29. But when I get these, I do know that I'm probably going to sit on them a little bit longer than some of the other jean brands I sell that have a higher sell-through rate, but I still get them because when I hold out, I do get a good return on my investment. This is a brand I just started learning about. It is Faherty. They make men's and women's pieces, and so far so good in both categories. Sorry, that's a little bit of a blurry photo, but the brand is Faherty. This is a men's shirt that I picked up for $4.39. It sold for $34. This is a Free People women's jumpsuit. Anything Free People that is super substantial or bright and loud or unique, I always get. I paid $4.39 for this. It sold almost immediately for $49. This is a Calvin Klein jacket. Before I sold that Calvin Klein packable that I had showed you, this one is not a puffer coat. Instead, it is like a more career professional wool coat. And I just couldn't pass this up. It was in great condition, great materials. Again, lots of factor stacking. This one actually did sell a lot quicker than I expected. I paid $6.99 for it, but was willing to wait to get my return on investment. It sold very quickly though for $60. Picked up this Armani Exchange spell out t-shirt at the bins. Figured I'd take a chance on it. Not in every brand, but in some brands, a spell out shirt can add value to things. And this had the Armani Exchange typed all over it. This sold very quickly for $25. Here's a brand I have not figured out quite yet, but it doesn't seem to have a good sell-through rate on eBay, but on Poshmark it seems to sell pretty well. It is Princess Polly. I don't know why it's so popular because I believe it's a fast fashion brand, but I am starting to pick up select pieces in this brand because I'm starting to see a following. I paid $4.99 for this. It was new with tags. It is a linen playsuit and it sold for $34. Here's another neon Buddha piece. This is a midi length dress and you can see kind of that same artsy log and look style. I paid $4.99 at a thrift store for this. It sold for $29. Here's another vintage piece. This is Fruit of the Loom. I do live in Ohio, so I find a lot of vintage Ohio State stuff. And if I think it's unique enough, I will pick it up in sweatshirts, and it tends to do pretty well for me. I paid $2.99 for this. It sold for $35. $35 to $40 is typically what I'll ask for vintage sweatshirts. And coming towards the end here, this is the brand Altered State. Definitely not a brand that generally has a high sell-through rate, but what I've noticed is that these pull-on bell-bottom pants have been extremely popular. I see a lot of online brands promoting this style, so whenever I see it, regardless of brand, I always give it a look up, and I look up bell-bottom pants pull-on. So these were a pair of those in the brand Altered State. They were a nice gray velvet, and they sold for $30. I originally picked these up at the bins. As always, you guys know that I like selling bras. Also picked this bra up at the bins. It is Victoria's Secret. Bras are such a quick flip. You can throw them on the table, take quite a few pictures, and sometimes you can even get more for them than a pair of jeans, which I always like to see. This one sold for $27, which is a great price for a pre-owned bra. And ending with a bang is my favorite sale of this past week, which was this Pendleton merino wool sweater. I found this at a thrift store for $2.99. I was already going to get this when I saw it anyways before I saw the brand because I could tell it was soft, high quality, and it had this Aztec print all over it. And the back was really cool as well. Then when I saw it was Pendleton, I knew that I absolutely had to get it because this is known for its wool pieces. This one actually was missing its material tag, but what I did was I did a Google Lens for this, found the exact same one on sale through another seller and was able to look at their material tag to confirm what I already thought, which was that it was 100% merino wool. So if you find anything wool in this brand, definitely give it a look, and then as well as anything with this Southwestern print. This sold for $120 and I did not have it listed for very long at all. Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell down below. That way you'll get notified when these videos go live. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.